Media literacy is a crucial and multifaceted skill that children need to develop in today's age of media saturation. Studies have revealed that children between the age of 8 to 18 spend up to 8 hours a day interactive with various media forms such as television, computers, and social media. With constant exposure to various forms of media, including television, radio, print, and digital platform, it is essential for children to have the ability to critically analyze, evaluate, and navigate the information they encounter. In this essay, we try to do an extensive literature review and delve into the importance of media literacy amongst children and explore strategies for promoting media literacy across all forms of media. In March 2023, Samantha Bates and Aisha John synthesized evidence on the impact of two forms of media, television viewing and smartphone use, on children's self-regulation and parent-child interactions in the journal Advances in Social Work for the Indiana University School of Social Work's academic journal. The findings included population at risk for high level of technology use and poor self-regulation among children include children living in low-income households and children who watch more than 2 to 4 hours of TV daily. The relationship between behavioral difficulties and technology use indicates that families may use technology as a behavior management tool for children with poor regulation, and/or that greater use of technology in the household increases risk of poor self-regulatory skill. Number 3, greater media exposure before age 6 may increase risk of behavioral difficulties that lead to social-emotional issues during school years. Infants older than 9 months demonstrate negative behavioral and social responses to parental use of smartphone, and early development up to 1 year of age is critical to language acquisition, cognitive learning, and social bonding, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Parent interaction and presence during children's TV viewing may buffer risk for poor social and cognitive outcome associated with technology use during early childhood. Use of media influences parents-child interaction, and technology interference may be more prevalent among parents experiencing stress as a result of their children's behavioral difficulties, and/or parental technology use alone may negatively affect children's self-regulatory skills. Media consumption at an early age with poor or no regulation can affect young children. These are different ways and examples of how media can negatively impact young children and their development. Therefore, it is crucial we equip children with the necessary tools to navigate our overly saturated media landscape. Literacy, as in many other areas of life, is a sure path. The Center for Media Literacy defined media literacy as a framework to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and participate with messages in a variety of forms, from print to video to the internet. The CML also notes that media literacy builds an understanding of the role of media in society, as well as essential skills of inquiry and self-expression necessary for citizens of a democracy. The 1992 Aspen Media Literacy Leadership Institute defined it as media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media in a variety of forms. Media literacy now defines media literacy as the ability to decode media messages, including the systems in which they exist, assess the influence of those messages on thoughts, feelings, and behavior, and create media thoughtfully and conscientiously. Like reading or math, media literacy is learned. The ability to navigate within a complex and ever-changing media landscape depends on acquiring skills and tools to know how to consume and evaluate information, ask critical questions, avoid manipulation, and engage in digital spaces safely and confidently. Unfortunately, these skills are not widely taught to our young people just yet. Firstly, media literacy helps children become informed and active participants in the media landscape, and by teaching children to question the credibility and accuracy of media messages, they can develop the skills to distinguish reliable sources from unreliable ones. This empowers them to make informed decisions and be aware of potential biases and manipulation in the media, regardless of the medium. Whether they are watching television shows, listening to the radio, reading a newspaper, or browsing through the internet, media literacy enables children to engage critically with the content they consume. Additionally, Media literacy equips children with the ability to think critically and analytically about all types of media content. By encouraging children to analyze media content, including television shows, movies, advertisements, newspapers, magazines, books, and online platforms, they can develop a deeper understanding of the persuasive techniques used in media and potential impact these media can have on their beliefs and behaviors. This critical thinking skills is essential for navigating the media landscape and making well-informed choices across all forms of media. It enables children to question the motives behind media messages, identify bias, and consider alternative perspectives. Media images and messaging can have a significant impact on children's development, psychological growth, and overall well-being as well, especially if we take into consideration systemic imbalances, media imperialism, and socio-economical disparities. It was pointed out by 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗗𝗨𝗧𝗦 in his June 2017 article in the Journal of Child and Adolescent Behavior. The paper analyzed the relationship between child development, socialization, media exposure, and cultural imperialism, and its consequences using available empirical, ethnographic, and other literary documents, and critically examine ways to curb the extent of cultural imperialism, self-hatred among African children, leaving suggestions on the practical ways of approaching the issue. In particular, he mentioned that the key is to lay a hopeful foundation as the countermeasure to the challenges of children exposure to public media and unbecoming attitudes. He advises, while it falls within the domain of parents to monitor what the children watch to save them from being psychologically abused, the government institutions, especially the cultural and educational institution, ought to initiate the process of proper orientation of our children as well as orientation of our youth via educational institution and certain cultural policies. Among other things, the proactive moves such as introducing history of African culture in the primary and secondary school and legally placing severe punishment on anyone who is making certain categories of media program accessible among the children should be introduced. Indeed, this leads us to point out that media literacy plays a significant role in promoting responsible consumption and interpretation of media messages. Children who are media literate are more likely to engage with media in a thoughtful and discerning manner. They can recognize and challenge stereotypes, bias, and misleading information presented in various media forms. But then I wondered, how? And most importantly, how soon? In 2008, 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗗𝗨𝗖𝗧𝗦 from the Department of Psychology of the University of California in San Diego published a research paper stating that as early as age 3, children understand that people sometimes communicate inaccurate information and that some individuals are more reliable sources than others. A key component of critical thinking is the ability to evaluate the statement of other people. Indeed, past research has shown that by simply putting 3 and 4 years old children in scenarios with actors who simply had the task of labeling or mislabeling objects they knew, once put in situation where they were shown unfamiliar objects, 4 years old tend to select the label used by the actor with a history of labeling objects correctly. This was used to show that preschool children preferences for sources who had previously been accurate rather than inaccurate was stronger than their preferences for source who were, for example, adults rather than children. The kiddies are not ageist. In 2007, another study found that 4 years old preferred sources who had responded correctly on 75% of trial to those who had responded correctly on only 25% of trial. This clearly shows that children have the ability to differentiate sources and somewhat credibility very early. But here's the kicker. In many contexts, even older children fail to evaluate sources critically. Recent research points to the role of social experience in explaining why children often fail to engage in critical reasoning. Indeed, socioeconomical background, nationality, habits, and culture can have an impact on how they have the capacity of discernment or not. Children can also lack awareness and understanding of complex motives, deception, and self-interest, or have difficulty with impulse control at the time of making a decision. In my opinion, it is therefore essential to filter and limit the media content consumed by very young children, all while supporting their skills in critical thinking until they have enough discernment to be a proper recipient of the information and can assess, dissect, and digest it. Take young teenagers, for example. Nowadays, although they seem to be a bit more equipped to decipher the content they come across online, more needs to be done in terms of critical thinking and media in-depth assessment. 5 researchers from the University of Eastern Finland published an article in the Journal of Media Literacy Education in July 2023. Based on an online questionnaire conducted in Finnish comprehensive schools with 167 children and young people from 12 to 15. The results show that children are active users of various social media services and that they access social media every day. Children perceive the fake news as much more than fabricated news report and weave them together with ordinary lies, rumors, and false information shared in the form of links, video, posts, messages, and stories. Children recognize that fake news can be produced and shared by anyone with various intention, including financial and ideological gains, but also personal gains of digital capital, causing confusion, cheating, pranking, and bullying. Children also provided example of various kind of myth, rumors, and false information spreading in their online communities. Notably, children typically describe fake news in terms of its believability and intention, but deeper level evaluation strategies such as the evaluation of the quality and consistency of evidence were much less discussed. There were hardly any specification of what kind of references they considered to be qualified or what the relationship is between the content provided and the site's references. Likewise, only 10 respondents mentioned consistency as credibility evaluation strategies. Accordingly, children could benefit from the type of educational support suggested by previous research, especially in terms of evaluating multiple clues across content and source features rather than just making judgment based on personal feeling and opinions. It is important to note here that these children felt that they had received similar guidance for spotting fake news from teachers, parents, media, and friends. However, children were not typically very reflective about why they encountered upsetting content in the first place. For example, whether they deliberately searched for the content, whether the platform suggested the content for them, or whether their peers linked the content or baited them to click on it. Social dynamics and algorithmic processes play a very important role when youth make decisions and evaluate that information. The ability to critically evaluate media content helps children develop a more nuanced understanding of the world around them and allows them to build a strong foundation for media literacy across all forms of media. By developing these skills, children can become responsible consumers of media, filtering out harmful and misleading content and actively seeking out reliable and accurate information. To promote media literacy among children, it is essential to incorporate it into educational curricula and daily life. In an article from 𝗣𝗥𝗢𝗗𝗨𝗖𝗧𝗦 in Portugal published in 2022, the authors assessed the media literacy competencies of 416 students from 4th to 9th grade in Portugal, identifying training needs and presenting suggestions for intervention. The study confirms the importance of media education in the development of media literacy and suggests intervention strategies for promoting these competencies in the school context. These strategies include reinforcing curricular content, using guiding documents, and developing critical thinking skills. The study emphasized the importance of training teachers and parents on media literacy and challenges the belief that digital natives have natural competencies in this area and do not require training. Schools should provide opportunities for students to analyze media content critically, engage in discussions about media ethics and responsibility, and develop media production skills across all types of media. These can be achieved through media literacy programs, media literacy workshops, and the integration of media literacy into various subjects such as English, social studies, and technology. Tech giants like Google, for example, have included media literacy programs on their platforms. For Google, it is called Be Internet Awesome. And since 2019, specifically, they talk about the ability to identify so-called fake news and other false content. The company launched media literacy activities for the curriculum to help teach kids things like how to avoid a phishing attack, what bots are, how to verify that information is credible, how to evaluate sources, identify disinformation online, spot fake URLs, and more. Additionally, Parents and caregivers also play a crucial role in fostering media literacy by engaging in conversation with children about forms of media, setting limits on media consumption, and guiding them to diverse and age-appropriate media content. By actively engaging with children in conversation about media, adults can help children develop the skills and knowledge needed to navigate the complex media landscape confidently. A February 2022 article published in the International Journal of Social Science and Human Research, parents' competence in essential aspects of digital literacy for their children were assessed, and the results showed that parents who are consistently moving to keep up with existing developments felt the parent competence of digital media literacy, despite not entirely in-depth, including giving direction to their children to prevent and introspect for themselves, and children who have positioned this digital technology very close to whatever their activities are. In a paper from January 2023, published in Educacional Media Internacional, the authors present the result of a pedagogical experiment on the development of media literacy in children of primary school aged 7 to 10 years old in different conditions at home and school, and only at school. It highlights the importance of parental involvement and mediation in the development of children's media literacy. The study provides evidence that using media literacy techniques both at school and home leads to a higher level of media literacy development in younger school children compared to using techniques only at school. The findings emphasize the need for recommendation for parents to support their children's media literacy development. The caveat to this research is the lack of overall inclusivity in most of that body of work. For example, in October 2022, a systemic literature review analyzing 1,175 articles was conducted to map recent research from 2015 to 2021 in the field of media literacy and children with disabilities. With only 12 articles included in the study after filtering for children with disabilities as a population of interest, the overall result indicates that this population is significantly underrepresented in media literacy research, explained by a low prevalence of studies with disabled children as an audience. Ableist media discourses emerge as a barrier to the promotion of media literacy in this population, highlighting a mismatch between media representations and current disability paradigms. In conclusion, media literacy is a non-negotiable. It is vital for children to be able to navigate the complexities of today's media landscape, and thus across all forms of media. By developing media literacy skills, children can become discerning consumers, critical thinkers, and responsible media users. And it can drastically curb plagues like fake news and disinformation. It is the responsibility of educators, parents, and society as a whole to prioritize and promote media literacy among children, ensuring that they have the tools to navigate and engage with all types of media effectively. By equipping children with media literacy skill, we empower them to become active participants in the media landscape and enable them to make informed decisions, think critically, and navigate the vast sea of media messages that surround them in today's digital age. If you enjoyed this video, I am so grateful you stuck around and will be delighted to read a comment from you. You can, of course, like and subscribe. The entire list of articles, research papers, and references is available in the bibliography linked in the description below, as well as other key details you might like to get access to. See you very soon in another essay as we continue to decipher media impact and strategies together.